Lam Research Corporation, the semiconductor company that sells tools for manufacturing semiconductoring, is experiencing a roller coaster ride in share price. It reminds me a lot of Micron technology when I just look at the price action of the share price, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about in just a moment here. But in this video, I'm going to look at the company's prospects looking ahead and answer whether or not this semiconductor stock is a buy for 2025. I'm going to look at its revenue, its cash flow, its valuation. I'm going to look ahead at what analysts expect from the company over the next few years in terms of free cash flow growth. And then I'm going to compare it against the two different valuation metrics. First, I'm going to look at the forward price to earnings ratio, and then I'm also going to look at my discounted cash flow valuation model for where the intrinsic value per share is for Lam Research. So let's take a look.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
So I highlighted earlier that the share price has been on a roller coaster ride, and you can see to start 2024, it jumped higher, all the way close to $120 a share, and then fell down quickly like a roller coaster down to $72 a share. This is similar to Micron Technology, which experienced a similar up and down here in the last year. And coincidentally, they are both semiconductor stocks. Trailing 12-month revenue has recovered for Lam Research, but it hasn't recovered to the all-time highs reached in 2023, $15.6 billion in trailing 12-month revenue, still below the peaks of around $20 billion in 2023, but still higher than where it was 5 years ago at around $10 billion. The analysts on Wall Street expect the company's revenue growth to continue. There's parts of the semiconductor market that have not yet recovered. Some parts of the semiconductor market are absolutely soaring. The parts that serve the data centers optimized for artificial intelligence, that segment of the market is absolutely soaring. And there's other markets that deal with more legacy designs, that deal with more consumer electronics. Those parts of the market are not recovering or are not soaring the way the data center market is for semiconductors. So just like its revenue, the company's operating income is recovering, but is not yet back to the highs it reached in 2023 at $4.521 billion. If I give you a longer-term chart of Lam Research and its operating income, you can see a steady rise in operating income with cyclical downturns, as is common with many semiconductor companies. The cash flow from operation is at all-time highs for Lam Research Corporation. It's now at $5.27 billion on a trailing 12-month period. That's up from around $2.5 billion in 2020 on a trailing 12-month basis. So looking ahead, I wanted to see what Wall Street analysts expect from Lam Research Corporation on a free cash flow basis from 2024 to 2029. The analyst following the company expect its free cash flow to grow from $4.26 billion in 2024 up to $5.96 billion in 2029. So over these next 6 years, they expect the company's free cash flow to grow by less than 50%, relatively slow growth for a semiconductor company in a cyclical recovery that's enhanced by artificial intelligence. It's not one of the better companies when you're evaluating growth prospects, but still solid, right? You're not complaining. We're just being picky here because the semiconductor industry is filled with some companies like NVIDIA and Taiwan Semiconductor that are absolutely thriving. And then there's others that are doing well, but they're not doing great like some of the participants are. So now that we looked at those factors, we can begin to look at valuation. And the first valuation metric I wanted to look at is the forward price to earnings ratio. Lam Research Corp is trading at a forward PE of 17.4, which is at about the midpoint of where this stock has traded for going back a couple of years. We can ignore these moments here of extreme volatility in the calculation for forward PE, and let's just include these other parts. And in these other parts, we can see that the valuation had been lower at moments and higher at moments going back a couple of years. A forward PE of 17.4 for a company that's expected to increase free cash flow by 50% in 5 or 6 years is a reasonable valuation. It's not cheap. It's not expensive according to this metric. Now, when I include my calculations from my discounted cash flow model, it shows me that the intrinsic value per share of Lam Research Corporation is roughly $50. And compared to the current market price of $72, this calculation would suggest it's overvalued. And I even did a couple of scenarios where I lowered the beta of the stock down to 1.25 from 1.49, and it still gave me an overvalued price. Only when I lowered the beta down all the way to 1, down from 1.5, did it give me a fair value on the stock price. Remember, beta is a measurement of risk, and the company's beta of 1.49 suggests that it's roughly 50% more risky than the average stock in the S&P 500. You can argue that might be an overestimation, and you can argue that it's fair considering that the semiconductor industry is a cyclical industry, and cyclical industries are the definition of riskiness, right? Cyclicality is risk. It means that the business goes up and down. The business is not steady. And when you have a business that goes up and down, it's riskier. It's harder to manage than a business where you know pretty confidently what sales are going to be like next year and what sales are going to be like the year after that, regardless of what happens in the economy. That's easier to manage. You can plan more effectively your production, you can plan more effectively your distribution, your labor expense, everything you can plan more effectively when your business is more stable and less volatile. So all that being said, is Lam Research Corporation stock a buy at current prices? I would say no. I would rate this stock as a hold rather than a buy at current prices. If the price were to decrease significantly, it could warrant an upgrade to a buy, or if the company's free cash flow prospects improve and the cyclical upturn is stronger than expected, that could also warrant an upgrade in Lam Research Corporation stock. But for now, I'm rating this semiconductor stock as a hold. Hey everyone, I'm excited to announce that my book is finally available for sale. I've been working on it for more than a year now, so I'm really excited to finally share this with you now. It goes through my framework for evaluating stocks. Some of you often ask why I like this stock or why I like the other stock, and this framework provides you the things that I look at when I'm evaluating stocks. I've added the link in the description below.